Welcome back to Pew Pew Review. Today we've got an unlikely comparison between the AX308 and the Victrix Venus T. Now, some of you might be asking, why didn't we go with the V model for this comparison? And that's a great question. Reason being is action for action, these are very similar. The Venus T takes a dual stack, dual feed magazine, and the AX308 takes a dual stack, dual feed magazine. Most of you already know that. We're not going to be comparing chassis features and that sort of thing because both of these companies make a more competition-based firearm and a more field use firearm. Now, so as far as differences in chassis goes, that's going to be entirely up to you. A lot of you will probably choose that based on aesthetics. I've fielded both of these guns for coyotes, and they both performed extremely well. This one I carried a lot last year, made some great shots with it, and this one just recently this year, same thing, made some great shots with it in some heavy wind, and the 308 performed really well. Not fur friendly though, compared to the 6XE. Let's dive into a little bit of back and forth features here between these two rifles and see if we can't identify the subtle differences between the two. All right, let's start off with the rear of the firearms in both these cases. I've gone through both of these before in my videos, so if you want to check those out, feel free. In both cases, I would have to argue that the AX's buttstock is a little bit more well thought out with the twist knobs, the more adjustability, the cheek rest height adapter, as well as being a folder. Whereas the Venus, I'm sure they'll probably offer a folder in the future and it'd be probably pretty easy to adapt. But right now as it sits, it's just not as feature rich. Complaints. My biggest complaint with the Venus T, and this goes across any of the Venus chassis, is you've got Detents Adjustability for this cheek rest. Now you can see I have it in its lowest position, but a problem with that is when you pull the bolt all the way back, it doesn't actually allow it to go all the way back. And that's a big problem if you've got, cheekbone, if you want to set your scope a little lower, that sort of thing. Now, I think how they mitigated that was they raised the scope rail here, but scope over bore, I like having it as low as possible because I don't like it when it's sitting really high above it. So that is definitely a problem. With the AI, I have this in just about the lowest position that it can go because my scope height is very low, and I don't even have to worry about that at all. And it could just be because of the position of the cheek well, the position of, or the chicken of the comb, the position of the bolt, as well as this folding piece here prevents any contact between those two. So points to AI for that. Now I keep my comb about at this height, and then what I had to do is I had to take a Dremel and sand a little bit of the reinforcements of the plastic cheek piece here so that I could pull my bolt all the way back and there's no interference there. See, so I can go all the way back and there's no interference, which to me should have been something that they should have done from factory. But again, these are just minor nitpick things that in the big scheme of things don't really matter. I could go, a quarter of an inch higher on my scope height and that wouldn't matter. A con for the AI stock is it's not as quick to adjust as the Victrix is. You have to loosen off these knobs, which I've got quite tight from being in the cold, pull it back, and then tighten it back in again. And then same thing for the adjustable comb. Whereas on the Victrix, you can see I can do it really easily one-handed, and it just adjusts very easily. Same thing with the length of pull. Same thing with adjusting my my butt plate as well. Going on further up onto the grips. The AI grip is just your classic plastic AI handle, which some people love, some people hate. I don't mind it, fits my hand well. Of course, the Hogue overmold style that the Victrix comes with, I think is a much better option for for myself, as well as most other shooters would agree. And it's just a lot more comfortable, fits well in your hand, all that sort of Same thing with hand position. You can see here that Victrix has a really nice place to index your thumb for each time. Now that is really nice to set your basis for where your hand's gonna go back to every time. So you cycle your bolt, boom, your hand's in the same spot every time. AI from factory, they don't have anything like that. So it's just more gonna be by feel each time. So when you cycle that bolt, when you go back, your thumb's gonna be there where you have to get comfortable. Now there is aftermarket features that people have added, a little thumb rest that you can buy, but from factory, doesn't have it. Let's talk triggers. This is a hard one because it kind of depends on the type of trigger you like. The Victrix comes with a more bench rest style trigger because that's the history of the company is bench rest. So when you're on it, you can see there's like no play. It's right there. It's so quick. So when you go to pull it, it's there, and set from factory, it's about 2.5 pounds, maybe 2 pounds, right around there. And it's very quick, very short throw, no afterplay. Like, so once you pull it, there's no more play after that. That's it. That's the length of the trigger pull. You can see it right there from set to reset. It's, you know, a couple mils. Whereas on the AI, this trigger, I mean, I really like it. Set from factory, comes at probably about 4 pounds. So when you go to pull it, you got that first little bit of take up to your wall, which is there every time. And then from your wall, it breaks very, very quickly and shortly. I'll show that to you again. But then after that wall, there's more take up afterwards. So there's quite a bit of movement in that trigger after the wall, which I mean is, it's a preference thing. I don't think it really matters that much. But as you can see, take up, break. Now, as far as breaking, 2-stage to single stage, it's got to be about a tie for cleanness of break. They're both exceptionally well done. I give points to the Victrix just because it's so little movement and so little play. I really, really, really quite like it. Now, that's not to knock the AI, because the AI is phenomenal, and you can get their competition trigger, which is a little bit better. I like this trigger the way it is. I'm going to adjust with it and play with it, but for the purpose of the video, I want to go factory to factory so you know what you're getting when you pull it out of the box. Let's talk action smoothness for a minute. What I really like about the AI is as soon as you initiate bolt throw, you can see it's effortless, and it locks in really quite nicely. Whereas the Victrix, 60-degree bolt throw to 60-degree bolt throw, by the way, it's not as, there's a little bit more effort on the upswing. And then once you're at that lock, it doesn't just want to throw itself out of it, which I think is more of a bench rest style action. Whereas this is, you know, it wants to shoot again, right? So you just, it basically, it throws itself up almost, which I mean, some people might like, some people might hate. I don't mind it. I think it functions very well for what it is. As far as smoothness of operating the bolt, I mean, they're both, I mean, there's, I maybe give points to the Victrix for feeling lighter on the pull. The AI bolt is a little heavier. Now, I don't know why that is, maybe more material, whatever else. It's 6 lug to 6 lug. Arrangement is slightly different, I think, but they're both fantastic. PVD coated, not PVD coated. As far as wear goes, I don't think Victrix has been around long enough with this action to comment on that, whereas AIs, there's guys with tens of thousands of rounds on their AI actions, which good for them. As far as scope rail mounting options go, they're both Picatinny rails, both similar style where it's machined in the middle. You can see here, Victrix went with a little bit more of a nicer finish on the machining. This is more of a rough edge, which is, I think, a design choice, whatever else, whereas this is very smooth. And of course, this rail is very short because this is more of a competition gun. I believe you can buy a night vision bridge for this gun, although we've never really had any purpose for night vision in Canada because laws for shooting at night here are stupid. As far as barrel accuracy goes, it's a tie. This with the Federal Gold Medal Match Factory is phenomenal. Reloads, of course, phenomenal. Half MOA or better. The Victrix, I don't have any factory 6XC ammo to compare to, but during my load development, I never had a single load go over 3/4 MOA the whole time. Most of it was half or better. It was actually very hard to choose a load because it just shot so well and it was so good at recoil impulse and that. Muzzle brakes. Victrix has this along with another style. It works extremely well. I don't have any qualms with it. It's performed really well for me. There's with 6XC and heavier bullets, there's essentially no recoil. I let my kids shoot this gun as well as my wife because she likes low impulse guns. For a 308, the AI with its brake, it's very, very well too. Curiously enough, and I don't know how AI does it, AI's recoil is more of a push, if that makes any sense. Whereas the Victrix, it still has a bit of a snap to it, not anything crazy. And that could just be weight. I think this is a couple pounds lighter than this gun is. Barrel contours, you can see, are very similar. Lothar Walther barrel in this, Lothar Walther barrel in this, I believe. Now, as far as additional features, I got to give that to the AI with the quick change barrel system. That's pretty fantastic. I don't have any other barrels because I haven't gotten that far yet, but with the Victrix is more of the original style where you need a barrel vise and you need to swap it out that way. I'm going to show a short clip of shooting these things both back to back. Again, I'm a big fan of the dual stack, dual feed mags. You can feed directly from the ejection port, which is awesome, as well as they seem to feed extremely well. So I think that's a tie there. I'm going to shoot a few shots out of both, and then I'm going to come back in and record my thoughts on it and see what I think of both. All right, after shooting both rifles, that's a tough one. I think this comes down to personal preference. Again, they both do things really well. In regards to shooting and acquiring targets and getting back in based on the recoil impulse, I give points to the AI. It just seems to function really well in a repetitive basis. Now, that doesn't mean to say that the Victrix doesn't, but as far as target acquisition and getting back on target or staying on target, it seems the AI is a lot more balanced and a lot more handled in that regard. Now, as far as trigger goes, again, I think it's a personal preference. I'm going to give points to the Victrix because it's got more of that competition style trigger, which I like. Very short throw, very light, awesome. That's not to say that the dual action of the two-stage of the AI is any worse. It's just a different style. And if I had to pick between the two, I pick the Victrix. Now, as far as caliber goes, again, that's preferable. 308's great because it's common, it's everywhere. 6XC is awesome because it's flat as a rail. That's going to be a decision up to you. Of course, they sell this gun in multiple other calibers. This gun you can buy other barrels for really quite easily. You can get prefits for them very easily, even in Canada, which is awesome. As far as mountability, I love the integrated ARCA. You can get the ATX from AI that has the integrated ARCA, so that's point mute. Scopes, it's a difficult decision to choose between the 4-16 and the 2.5-20 Annex 8. They're both exceptionally good scopes. I'll do a scope review eventually, but I don't think you can go wrong with either. I think it comes down to application for both. So there you have it, a quick overview. If any of you were deciding up here in Canada which one to get. As far as backup, Wolverine Supplies is who backs these bad boys up. Go Big Tactical is to back these bad boys up. Both got great customer service. I can't complain. I've had zero issues with the Victrix. I've had zero issues with the AIs. So, I mean, I don't think you can pick wrong. In regards to choosing one, I think it comes down to your application. I am not using either of these guns for coyotes this year. And the reason being is I'm moving away from a metal chassis. When it's minus 20, metal sucks. There's no other real way to put that. So I'll do a review on my new coyote gun when it shows up. But yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. If you've got any questions, leave them down in the comments. If you got any video ideas, let me know, and I'd be happy to put together a video for it. Other than that, have a great day.